right, welcome to my podcast, Louis. Today's my guest is Louis
Cole.
Cole.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You are a very interesting character. You have a long-standing YouTube channel, and you've been traveling the world for a very long time. And you have amassed a massive audience just traveling the world, right?
Yeah.
And now you're here because you're kind of working on a thing that is similar to what I do. So you're here. We'll talk a little bit about that. But tell me about yourself and how long you've been at this.
Yeah, so I guess I started YouTube like 2011. So yeah, almost 10 years.
So yeah, like it's almost as soon as YouTube started.
Yeah.
You were like an early.
Yeah.
YouTuber.
I don't think I'm like the first generation, because there was a first generation that started like 2007. But anyway, I was pretty early in the game, and it was just when YouTube was really blowing up. So I remember the early days. Immediately, my channel took off. I was like daily vlogging, and I think I was the only British daily vlogger, maybe.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't just daily vlogging like randomly at home. I was like, every day was like completely different. I was going out, meeting friends, doing crazy things. So quite quickly grew an audience. And then I've always had a passion for travel, but then it kind of like coincided with like documenting my life, enjoying filmmaking, travel. It kind of all like intersected. So I was like, oh, this could be my thing. Like I could just travel. And so so up until probably 2 years ago, I was non-stop. Yeah, like a year and a half ago, I was like nomadic, non-stop travel, didn't have a home. I was just like traveling the world constantly. And then a year and a half ago, moved to LA, and I've slowed down a bit, especially right now. Obviously no one's traveling, but I slowed down a bit and started, I guess, shifting and reinventing my channel and stuff, but I'm still passionate about travel.
Yeah. So you spend how many, that's like close to 10 years traveling?
Yeah, maybe 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah.
And you, at this point, you've been like to almost every country in the world, or?
No, I think I've been to like 82 countries.
Okay, that's...
So I haven't even been to half the countries, but I mean, I've been to pretty much...
How many countries is there?
There's like 190...
Oh, it's almost 200 countries.
Yeah, but they're all like the tiny ones, right? All the little Caribbean islands and all the Pacific islands. So yeah, I mean, I haven't set a goal to visit every country, but I do enjoy going to new places and checking out new cultures.
Yeah. So then you decided to, after that, kind of settle down. Is that a weird thing? After 8 years of traveling, like you're like, I'm gonna pick one city in the world and I'm just gonna settle there.
It's weird. Like I never thought I would stop traveling so abruptly, but I've really enjoyed. I was kind of getting lonely. I was traveling with my girlfriend for the last. So I think I met her like 3 years into making YouTube, and then we got together, and then we've been traveling together a lot. And then a year and a half ago, we were just feeling like disconnected from our friends. Like we're always in another country, so we thought like, where should we live? Like where should we set up a home base? I don't like the phrase settling down, just because it makes me feel like I'm settling for something like not the most I could get out of life. But I also realise like to build, sometimes you need to be rooted, and especially like community and relationships and building friendships and stuff. So we were attracted to move to LA, especially like where we are in Venice Beach. There's like an amazing community. We already knew a bunch of people, so yeah.
Seems to be a hotspot for YouTubers, right?
Yeah. Casey Neistat's over there, Jesse Wellens, like Yes Theory, all those guys live like right around me, like a couple of blocks away from me. So
yeah, that's it's so cool that it's right here, really close to me. And well, that's very interesting. I think most people don't know what that is, because I think the vast majority of us were rooted, right? We're in a place. I haven't gone to many countries. I think I've recently been to Mexico for the first time, and I'm Mexican. I haven't been to. I mean, I've been to a handful of states in the United States, right?
Wow,
it's crazy. So most of us are like me. We just don't go anywhere. We just, I used to think there's a weird thing that I was thinking about video ideas one time, and I was like, it'd be cool to do this thing where we take like an aerial picture of like where I live and I work, right? And then I can like somehow go back in time and strip away all the buildings, the streets, right? Let's say you go 300 years in the past, right? And so now it's just a piece of land, right? Like some hills and land and bushes or chaparral. This is what this scenery is called here. And then it would be too cool to superimpose what our daily lives are. And it would be funny because all we would do is we like go and hang out in like a 10-foot square for hours a day, and then you just like go like down the street like 2 miles, and then you would like hang out the rest of the day in that other little square of patch of dirt that is 200, right? I'm like, and then you sped that up, and it'd be kind of sad.
Yeah.
Life looking
like,
at that way.
Almost like ants just moving to and from, like
to some weird just like patch of dirt essentially, right? And you're like, what? That's our lives.
Well, it's interesting. That's only been my life recently. So, like, when I was traveling, I had no... It's not that I didn't just have a home base. I didn't have any routine at all. Every day was different. Whereas since I've moved to LA... And I live with a bunch of friends as well. There's like 8 of us in the house. Since I've moved to LA, I do have a lot of routine now. But that's great because it's like I'm eating healthier. I'm like working out. I'm like... doing, do you know what I mean? I because I can fit things into a daily structure.
Yeah,
it's actually like helped me flourish more. And when I was traveling a lot, I would get, I was just getting exhausted. I wouldn't be able to do things that I'm excited about, like little hobbies I'm trying to learn. So it was kind of like it was like so much effort, especially with the daily vlogging. Traveling and daily vlogging, I was like barely sleeping.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of work. I mean, it's great. I loved it for that season, but I think this new season now, it's like building things, getting into hobbies, looking after myself with some healthy routines in my life, and like really focusing on like community and friendships. So
traveling is not easy. It's not for everyone, definitely, right? Like
the kind of traveling I was doing, it was full on. And again, like I definitely recommend people travel.
Yeah.
Because you get to see the world you get to like open your mind to like other cultures and how other people live, and it challenges your kind of perception of like the world and reality and stuff.
But not the consistent traveling that you were.
Yeah,
you were doing
non-stop travel is.
That's like a weird thing. I don't even know what that is. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're here, and then from here your next destination.
It's like nomadic. It's being a nomadic because you're always on the move, so you don't have like a
place.
People would be like, "Where do you live?" I'm like, right now I'm living like here, right here.
In this region.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. And you did that for a year. So were you doing like regions? Like were you like, okay,
no, I was bouncing all over the place. Like sometimes I wouldn't even know, like I was like working with tourism boards and seeing friends and jobs, different places. So sometimes it'd be like, oh, next week you need to fly to Dubai and do this thing. I'm like, okay, like let's go.
Oh wow! So you were just it wasn't like for the next 6 months I'm in California.
No.
I was traveling.
I would say I was typically in a place no longer than like 2 weeks.
Oh, I see.
So it was like, I'll show you my flight log of like how many flights I was doing each year. It was crazy. I was like flying like every week, every 2 weeks.
How many miles per year were you logging?
I think I checked, and over like a 4 or 5 year span, I'd done like 1 million air miles.
What? Yeah. Are you a 1 million mile thing with any airline or no?
No, because stupidly I was always flying different airlines, so I didn't collect enough loyalty points in one airline. That's something I'd
think once you do 1 million miles, there's some benefits that stay, right? Like I think that.
Yeah, probably like ultimate platinum.
Yeah, like they don't wear off, because I was kind of traveling there a lot for like 2 years ago or something, and so I thought, oh, I'm gonna do one of these things. Yeah. But it's like you have to meet like a certain amount of miles per year.
Yeah, and then it resets if you don't do it.
So then you're like, so it's so funny because now, for those of you guys watching, we're just a little bit past this pandemic mode that we're in. Yeah. And it's funny, I get the emails from American Airlines, and I'm like, American Airlines.
There's all these deals that they're doing now, trying to get people flying again.
So sad. I'm like, nope, no. I mean, these guys, I have some guys here at the shop that just flew to Colorado, and they were telling me that they're doing this thing where like the middle seat's empty. So people are not traveling as much.
No. I think it will pick up again. And then the other thing is like environmental impact of flying. A lot of people are more conscious now. They're like, oh, I don't know if I want to be flying. So that's partly for me as well. Like, I don't need to be flying as much as I did. Like, I still want to travel, but like way slower pace, like a normal person. But it'd be interesting to see if at some stage electrical vehicles can become efficient enough to do like a electric plane, like a passenger plane.
So I know a couple of people that are working on that, and I don't know how far they are. I think
I've seen like the ones with a really big width. There was a solar powered one, wasn't there? With like a huge wingspan.
But that's a different thing. That's like almost like a perpetual machine.
Yeah.
Right? That's why it needs to be so slow and so big. But just for commercial, right, where you can like go 500 miles or 1,000 miles and then land and then either change batteries or charge batteries. I don't know if we're there yet. I think the battery capacity, the energy per kilogram and energy unit per volume, it's not there. I think it would be mostly battery.
Do you think we'll get there?
I think we will. I just don't know when. And it's weird because I think most people have this idea that battery technology just keeps innovating at such pace that it's crazy. But it's not true. It hasn't
slowed down.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example. Those batteries that you bought for the Model S, those are like last year's model, right? Like these are pretty recent. We got our hands 7 years ago on a battery, and the batteries are almost identical. I mean, they're probably last longer cycles, but the amount of energy density in that package is the same. So there's a bunch of these little YouTubers that are doing these Tesla talking, head videos, and they're saying how far ahead Tesla is and the battery. And I'm like, where is it at? Maybe it's in something that we haven't seen yet, and there's battery day coming, and maybe that's where they're gonna announce it. I have no doubt that Elon's gonna do something amazing because he's never let us down, right? But we haven't seen it. It's not in the cars. The Model 3s, which is the latest car that Tesla's released, it's an increment. It's like maybe 10% better incremental, that the batteries are, because they're about 30% more energy dense, but they're about 30% bigger.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, it's not the same. But
I'm kind of interested because, so in end of 2017, I bought a Cessna 210.
Okay.
And with my friend who's a pilot, we circumnavigated the world.
That's right, yeah.
And I was at the time thinking like, oh, could we do it where it was like, we're doing it more environmentally friendly. I mean, this is only a single engine tiny aircraft, so in comparison to the big commercial flights, it's nothing anyway. But I was like looking at like biodiesel, and I was like, oh, I imagine if they had like electric planes, smaller planes, like a small...
Yeah.
Because this was like, single engine, it's like 4 seats in it.
Yeah.
But that was a fun adventure. But I've always loved... Yeah.
You bought one, and then you made a documentary that people can find.
Yeah, the documentary's not released yet, but it's like very close. Very close.
How? So
I did a whole series on YouTube, like more behind the scenes. It's like there's a lot of other footage for the documentary, but I did a whole like 72 episode daily vlog series of the world flight trip.
And you guys did the world thing?
Yeah.
What was that?
Started in California. We went east across America to Boston, up to northern Canada, across to Greenland, Iceland, Scotland, then down through the UK and the Europe to Germany, then to Greece, and then from Greece, where do we go? Down to Egypt, and then from Egypt we went across to United Arab Emirates.
No way.
And then we went to Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Australia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, and then up through...
Wait, how did you make it to Australia? Like, there is a short enough path that you can fly over?
Yeah, so from Bali to northern Australia, there's like... But we had to... So the biggest leg was, once we got to Australia, we then did New Zealand, Fiji, American Samoa, Kiribati, and then from Kiribati back to to Hawaii. Oh, and then Hawaii to California.
What?
But those legs are so long that we had to take all the seats out and put like 3 extra fuel tanks in the back. So we were like a flying bomb because
Yeah.
we were just a fuel tank with wings, basically.
Oh wow!
With
But
us
you're
crammed in the
talking
front.
about what 3,000 miles stretches?
Almost, yeah. It's like 2,800 or so. I can't remember exactly, but
Oh, that's crazy.
yeah. So that was fun. We did it all in 3 months.
Oh Jesus!
I didn't sleep basically for 3 months because I was making daily vlogs. We're getting up at 6 a.m. to fly every day, pretty much, and I couldn't edit on the plane. It was just like crazy. So that was like the last leg of my intense traveling, and then I started slowing down. I was like, I need to slow this down.
Well, it's understandable why you were like, okay, I need a break from this.
And then for me, as well as like the flying adventures, I've always loved vehicles. So like I still actually own 2 double-decker buses in the UK, a school bus, a bit full-size school bus here, which is converted, and then the camper van, the bus, the VW bus. So like I've always been obsessed with vehicles, and then when we met, that's what got me excited about. Oh, maybe I can look at putting electric motors into some of these.
For those who don't know and are watching this don't know, I have a YouTube channel and I make electric vehicles, right? I made one 7 years ago, and now Louis here because he's making his own, right?
Yeah, I tracked you down. I was like, who do I need to speak to make this happen? Because it's kind of rare. Like, not a lot of people are doing this.
No,
right?
I mean, there are a lot, but it's not mainstream yet, obviously, right?
Yeah.
7 years ago, I was a weirdo. I was like this crazy person. But now it's like, it's hard to keep track who's doing it. There's a bunch of people. There's whole businesses that sprung up that are providing components, and and you've gone through that. We have actually.
I mean, I was going to try and get it just done for me, and it was like I was told by the guys it was like a 5-year waiting list for a normal customer to come and do it. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to try and do this myself.
Yeah.
But I don't have the skills, so I'm like, you're helping.
It's funny because I was the
me.
same way. I wanted to buy a Tesla 7 years ago, and it was going to be like 2 years before they dropped, right? So I'm like, well, I can't wait that long. I'm just going to have to make one. And then the internet obviously is your best friend when you're trying to learn something.
Yeah.
I couldn't really find someone that was doing that.
So you just like figuring it out step by step?
On my own, yeah. And it took me a while, but eventually then I found Michael. Once I was done with it, I found Michael.
Yeah.
And Michael he's set up a whole company, EV West. And now through the years we partner up, and I've gone over there and converted stuff. But that's what we ended up going in over there and buying all the parts for your bus. And talk to us a little bit about your bus.
Here we go. Here's Louis going nuts on his bus.
Yeah, so in 2015, I guess, I was in Montana. It's kind of a funny story. I was in Montana doing a travel series with the tourism board.
Uh-huh.
And I had another van that was like it's like a 1980s Toyota maybe.
Oh, okay.
And
those little square ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are cool.
It was cool, yeah. So the first day we were about to go on a road trip. I had 3 friends with me. We were going to go on a road trip around Montana. And the first day, the guy who delivered it to me didn't put any oil in. He drove all the way from like California to Montana for me and didn't put any oil in. So the first day, the engine just seized and like blew up.
Wow.
Smoke everywhere. I was like, oh man. So we sat down that night and we were like looking on Craigslist. We're like, we need to get another van for this road trip. And I saw this orange, amazing 1973 bay window VW bus. I was like, oh my gosh. It was like $10,000. I was like, this is perfect. So we cruised over, met this amazing guy. It's all on my vlog. Like I vlogged the whole purchasing it. He took us for a little ride. It was like amazing. So it's like a permanent high top conversion.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we bought it, and then we just cruised around Montana for like 2 weeks and had the best adventure. And it was an amazing trip. And then I've since then done quite a lot of road tripping around the States. We came back to California, then we drove up all the way up the west coast. I think all the way to Vancouver. I think I crossed into Canada.
Wow.
So we've been like cruising around in it, and then I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I think it's 2 years ago, I was having loads of engine problems.
Okay.
And I was like, do I get another engine? But then it's still like with those older vans, it's like a nightmare with the engines. So like air cooled, and it's like you can easily overheat. I think it caught fire at one point. Again, it's like on my video. But yeah, then I started asking around about is it possible to convert to
Wouldn't give you the
electric?
idea.
Maybe I'd looked online and saw someone either found your channel or someone else as well but they were like selling them for like $120,000. One of these ones
maybe
I found.
Selectric. Yeah,
Yeah,
Selectric.
yeah.
They're-
I think I might have even seen it on like a Facebook video or something, like one of those viral videos. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh wow, this is a thing. Like maybe this could be a thing. And then I started making phone calls. I spoke to Nikki and then Michael, Evie West,
Yeah.
and then Nikki put me in touch with you. So anyway, there's like all this, like trying to investigate. Okay, how can I make this happen?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited because I think a lot of the content I want to make now on my channel as well is like kind of conscious, sustainable, eco. Because even with the traveling I want to plan and do, it's like with a purpose that's environmentally sustainable and supporting local culture. So it's like all of this vibe. I'm like, I'd love to find a way to travel fossil fuel free.
Yeah.
Even though when you're charging it, obviously there's arguably a lot of the grid electricity still fossil fuel, but that's phasing out. Like I feel like California is a lot of solar, so it's like I've seen some people do the solar powered vans, but it's like not quite there yet. Like it only charges like 30 miles a day maybe, and you have to have a massive solar array on the top. So
it's like a big roof, and you got to pull the things out.
Yeah.
So you have to park it. It's possible. I mean, I
think one day maybe, but because I like going on like long road trips, I was like, I prefer like the range of. I think we figured out like we can get almost over 200 miles.
Over 200 miles right now. Yeah, with the current batteries.
Yeah.
That we can get, right? Because that was the thing 7 years ago. It was extreme. It was prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I paid like $22,000 just for my batteries, and it was like a 11 kilowatt hour battery or something.
Yeah.
You know. Now, fast forward to now, we just bought a 75. Oh, yeah, maybe like 70 kilowatt hours, I think, for about 10 grand, right? So it's the prices have gone down, and they keep going down massively, right, every year. That's cool. I mean, I think, and right now you basically find ourselves in the middle of this conversion, right? Like right now, I mean, look at you. You're greasy.
Yeah.
I literally took a break just to come and to do this podcast right now.
Yeah, I've been loving it because it's like just crashing in the other room, like staying up till like, I think I stayed up 2 nights here till like 5 a.m. working.
Yeah.
It's good that we're both night owls. I like that.
And the thing that allows us to do that is that I just got the shop. I want to convert a bunch of other cars. I have this crazy idea that I want to rent them because it's not just the cost prohibitiveness, right? It's not that they're costly. It's just that, like you found out, it's hard to make these things. Like there's no one out there. It doesn't exist. Like there's not a place that you can take them and they'll take it in and they convert it for you. It's such a niche.
And there's a couple, but they're like super expensive.
Yeah, expensive.
Like I got quoted one place that said they could do it for like 75 grand. No, but minimum 75 up to 150 grand, depending on like what I wanted. I was like,
plus the car. That's not including the car, right? That's just to convert. That's just labor and parts.
I think maybe that's a car, but it was like, anyway, it was like way out of my price range. I was like, this isn't going to work for me.
Yeah, we're not rich that we can just dump almost $200,000 on a vehicle.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, and so I thought, well, if it doesn't exist, and I have, because I did mine 7 years ago. I know these buses inside out, and these buses are appreciating every year. So they're iconic vehicles. People grew up with them. Either their grandpa had one, or their uncle, or they had one growing up, and so there's this connection to them that everyone's got, and everybody thinks about the 60s, 70s as this cool time in history that you could just be free and drive around in your bus, right? Like the hippies did back then. So in essence, we're like, modern day hippies.
Yeah.
Because we like these cars, right? And we're thinking about sustainability and stuff. And yeah, what better way to actually travel the world with the least amount of footprint that you can leave behind, right? Without thinking about the future generations. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I did my conversion. I was like, this gas thing, that's not the right way to go. I mean,
It's not the future.
It's not the future.
This is what's so exciting to me about what you're doing. You're like innovating in a way that like it's kind of what's the word, like pioneering the way that in the future, like you can see, I guess you're like a visionary, right? You're like, this is the way we're going. Like everything's going to be electric. All vehicles going to be electric. But I like as well, like you said, you're like hacking the vintage, the aesthetically beautiful, like these old vans.
Yeah,
like,
marrying the two. Well, you think about it as far as sustainability goes.
And it's recycling, right? So we're not having to get all these new parts for the, you know, I would love a Tesla, don't get me wrong, but it's like still in terms of being sustainable and like recycling, it's like
a classic car is more sustainable than a Tesla because a Tesla had to be made.
Yeah.
Like that whole body, all those panels, they had to be made into aluminum and you know, so you're spending a lot of man hours and a lot of, you know, effort, you know, into making raw materials and stuff. Where you can use one of these classic cars that are rolling around that otherwise would people see this. The thing about these buses is that they were kind of terrible cars to begin with. They were like underpowered. They were kind of unreliable. They were easy to fix. They were cheap. They're Volkswagens, the car for the people, right? So a lot of them they're disappearing because who wants to deal with an engine that breaks down every so often, right? Or you have to adjust the valves every 4,000 miles. Like literally adjusting the valves, you got to put it up in a jack. You got to take some covers off. You got to get some special tools, and you know it's not that hard. It's not rocket science, but to the average person, it's annoying.
You basically have to be like an average mechanic to own.
You have to
VW
be
bus.
you have to be mechanically inclined to own one of those cars. Then not only that, also the brakes, those drum brakes. Yeah. At the same time you do adjust those, you would adjust the drum brakes because as they wear down the pads, they don't self-adjust. This is technology that was introduced later, you know, in the 80s, and you know, and so you'd have to adjust those so that make sure your pedal doesn't go down. You know, so there's a lot of maintenance. Yeah. You know, and a modern car, you don't have any of that stuff. And a modern car, an electric modern car, it's even less. Like you literally fill a few fluids on it, and for the most part, you just drive it, and you're gonna.
And it tells you when you need to check something, right?
Yeah.
That's the great thing, because with the amount of times I've like had mechanical issues in the middle of nowhere because I'm driving these older vehicles and they just something breaks or falls off or I want to make a whole video on my channel about all the vehicles I've owned, because I used to buy like old beaten up cars and drive them for a year, and then they would just like fail and I just buy another one for like, I used to buy them for like a few $100s or equivalent in the UK.
In the UK.
So I reckon I've owned like at least 20 vehicles.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you're
this is going to be my first electric.
This is going to be your first electric.
Yeah.
That's cool. Your first electric is going to be a DIY built by yourself. Yeah. There's not a lot of people who can say that, right? I thought I was cool because I was among one of the few that were that, but that number is growing, but it's still pretty small. There's not a ton of people that can say I made my own car. Yeah. My own. And I
appreciate like learning from the things you've learned, building your ones, that I can like piggyback off your kind of wisdom.
I think that's the biggest thing. It seems like such a daunting task to embark on when you don't know anybody that's done it, or
there's no rule book. Like there's no one that says, "Oh, this is the way you do it." Like everyone's just like, "Oh, how would I do it?" Like, what makes sense?
It's crazy. I mean, it takes a special person to pick it up. It's like crazies like you and me. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this. You know, whatever. Like, we'll figure it out as we go along. And once you get there, you're like, that's not a big deal. You just cut aluminum, you screw things together. Next.
I wouldn't trust myself figuring it out purely because the dangers of the voltages and messing around with the batteries, if I didn't know what I was doing, seems like, you could kill yourself.
Yeah, you'd have to have a certain amount of respect for electricity. I noticed that I've never blown anything up.
What's the craziest thing you've seen with any of these do-it-yourself kind of hacks?
I was involved in a build that just out of nowhere, like one of these controllers just blew up. Like literally blew up with like fireball coming out like 5-6 feet, like a thing, you know. But as it turned out, it wasn't no fault of mine. You know what I mean? Like we hooked it up, we were troubleshooting it. We were gonna just about to plug the PC to dial in all the little, you know, settings. The motor was spinning. You know, we were doing. There were some hiccups. There was like it was some weird going on there. But we're like, oh, let's just look at what the settings are, and we're literally walking towards it, and that thing just went up. And
luckily, you weren't like over it.
Dude, and just a few seconds before that, my brother was right on it, just sitting like there. He would have been charred and cooked, you know,
oh my gosh,
had he have been there. But we were lucky that didn't happen. And it was hard to diagnose because you should see the pictures. If I can find them, I'll post them here. It's just a charred piece that we were end with, you know. And so, like, how the hell you diagnose that? And so all we can think is that it's a faulty component inside one of these things. You know, they're not perfect. You know, we've gone through hundreds.
But it's rare.
It's rare, super rare. Yeah,
that's good.
For the most part, these
hopefully, it won't happen to my.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
no,
not 100% guaranteed, but it's.
I'll get a little fire, like a foam fire extinguisher or something.
Yes, I have to tell you the truth. It's more dangerous, way more dangerous, to have the old engine that you had. Like you said, it caught on fire already.
Yeah, so the story. I've got a funny story. It's in my vlog, but we were driving into Big Sur, and there's like a microclimate change. Like it just suddenly got really hot, and it was uphill. I guess the engine, like, there wasn't cooling because it's air cooled, so it was like really, really heating up, and then the insulation around the engine caught fire. It was like an insulative foam thing, right?
It's a foam, yeah.
So I could smell it. I was like, oh, we should pull over. I pulled over, and then we looked. We got out, and then we looked, and there's like flames coming out the side. And I think I had a fire extinguisher, but it's like one of the original ones, so it was obviously not working. It was like from the 1970s. But we were by a restaurant, so my friend ran into the restaurant, grabbed 2 glasses of water off someone's table. They were like in the middle of eating dinner. You just grabbed the water. I was like, sorry, and they like ran outside, and we were like chucking stuff on. Thankfully, the only damage was like it burnt through some of the wiring, but I just taped it up again, and it was good to go. Yeah, but my girlfriend was not happy. She was like, I'm not getting back in this van, like
death trap.
Yeah, so
well, it turns out. It's a very common thing that happens with Volkswagens. They catch fire, you know. There's many ways that they can catch fire. Usually, like the brake line, not the brake lines, the gas lines will go right through the axle. Sometimes, like, it's touching the axle. It heats up and boils the fuel.
Whoa.
And then you have engine trouble.
Just from friction?
Yeah, just from being touched on the... Because that transmission and those axles, they get really hot. Right? I mean, like 200 degrees or 300 degrees or something, man. Something crazy. So that's one. The other thing is that they have these little hoses that have clamps, and sometimes their vibrations, they come off. And then they come off, and then they spill gas. And then they spill gas on a hot surface because they're air cooled, right? So that engine, and so then next thing you know, it's caught on fire. And then you don't know because the engine's way back there, and you're just like, what's going on here? By the time you know, your whole back is engulfed in flames. And yeah, I mean, it's very, very common. It's a crazy thing. But with the electric thing, now you're not going to have that. There's some risks with the electric thing, but they're very, very minimal. You know what I mean? Like, we're on your build, we're doing it a little bit different. I'm a hack. I'm literally a hack, right? Like,
I love it.
I saw you. I showed you my batteries, how they're like with no boxes underneath the bus, right? No one will do that. That's craziness.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't care. I'm just gonna do them.
Plus, like, you know where you're driving. Like,
I
want to be able to like go not off road, but like go on the road. I want to be able to go on a road if there's a bump in the road, and not worry about it puncturing the batteries.
Or getting them wet. You know, those are the big ones, right? With your build, we're going to be able to do that. You're just not going to have to worry about the batteries. You're just going to charge it up. You're going to go. With mine, you know, yes, I'm always like, I have no BMS. I've been running around for 7 years without a BMS, so my batteries are just basically raw. which
So
is
you
crazy.
you wouldn't know if. Do you often just check that they're all okay?
I used to when I first built it, but then I realized like batteries not going anywhere. But I have had a couple modules that through the years that for some reason just went rogue.
Wow.
And I guess I was lucky enough that I checked in time, and I'm like, hey, there's something weird with this one, and then took it out of the back. So I'm essentially the BMS. I am the. So that's why I don't need it, and I understand battery technology, I guess, more than the average person.
Way more.
So I can get away with like not running, but it's weird because people ask me all the time, like, do I need a BMS? And I'm like, yes, you need a BMS. And they're like, well, you're not running with BMS. But like, yeah, but I'm taking a risk.
Yeah.
And it's a calculated risk, and it's okay. It's a risk. I mean, sometimes I worry about it. Like there was a few times where I knew I had a module that was not 100%. That one of the cell groups was like, drifting, and then I would worry when I was charging it. I'm like, oh my God, I got to charge it when I'm there just in case something ever goes off. So you don't want that. You want to have a system that is going to be, is going to take care of you. You don't have to worry about that stuff. Let's change the battery on this guy. So now we're back. We're recording again. I want to talk. Oh my God.
Is this one going? Oh yeah, you're doing it through that.
That one's good. Okay, let's pivot a little bit. I want to talk to you about being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I want to know what that's all about. Not that I would know, I guess. I'm kind of a YouTuber too, but I consider myself like a wannabe YouTuber. It's so weird. Like, none of us YouTubers are, there's no standard. Like, every single one of us is different. We run our companies or our operations or whatever you want to call little businesses different, completely different. There's almost like no standardization, right? Yeah. And so you always feel like you're alone. Like there's no one that you can really talk to that can walk you through a lot of stuff, because they're like, well, that's completely different. That's not how I make money. Yeah. I do this other thing or whatever. And so has that been a similar experience with you? Have you ever felt like you're at the edge of a new thing that no one's doing?
Think my journey was interesting because I got into it, it felt like very early on. And I'd say the first 4 to 5 years, so the first half of me being on YouTube, it was like rapid growth, loads of views, super engaged audience.
Okay. And
I guess I was like traveling non-stop, but also like there wasn't a lot of content out there. There wasn't like anyone really doing travel content. There wasn't anyone doing the kind of stuff I was doing. And then slowly I found like everyone's caught on like, oh, this is the best job, is like being a YouTuber. You work for yourself, that you can make money, build an audience, like there's all these amazing perks to it. So I feel like nowadays, because some people are like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, good luck. Like, it is a competitive industry now because everyone's trying to, and also back then I never got into it to make money. It wasn't like a business move. It was like, I'm just, I was like, oh, maybe I can make enough money to survive, but it's like more, it was a passion. I was just excited about documenting my life. So I'd say like over the last 3-4 years, I found it's been like a really, the market's been flooded. Like it's so oversaturated with content now that it's very hard to build an audience or even keep an audience's attention for me. Now that's like the kind of stuff I've been making, which is like lifestyle and travel. If you've got a niche like you, I feel like you're better off because you've got like an audience which you've got less people doing what you do. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of unique on YouTube. Yeah. Whereas I feel like the daily vlogging thing is kind of like done now on YouTube. Like no one's daily vlogging anymore because everyone was, and then it was got like an old format. Like no one wants to watch daily vlogs anymore. Instagram, when I started, like Instagram stories and Snapchat, none of that was a thing. Yeah. And now I'd say like what people used to look to daily vlogs for, they now just go to people's Instagram stories and then they can see little snippets of their life and what they're up to every day. It's like that kind of thing. So it's been an interesting journey for me. So I'd say the last 3 years, I've slowly been feeling like, do you know what? Like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber, but like, I feel like there's so much more that I want to be as well. I see. And I'd say the first 4 years, I was like solid, hardcore, I'm a YouTuber to my core. Like, I remember to the point where, like, so my channel's called FunForLouis. I remember at one point I was arguing with my friend. I was like, Louis Cole and FunForLouis, it's the same thing. Like, I am, like, me and my online persona is the same thing.
Okay.
And now I see it slightly different, where I'm like, there's a lot that I don't share online now that's just more of me figuring life out, like me figuring out, okay, what am I passionate about? What do I want to do? And it doesn't all have to be revolved around making my YouTube channel like as successful as possible. Because I've seen some people going down that route where they're like chasing the views and like chasing that success, and to the point where they're miserable because they're like making stuff they don't want to make because they're just pleasing the wider audience and online. And so I think everyone's got their own journey, and I think it goes in waves as well. Like it kind of goes in ups and downs. And I'd say like right now I'm not as focused on my YouTube channel as I have been in the past, and I'm more excited about other projects I'm working on. And like even here, like I'm filming a video series, but I'm really enjoying doing it as well. Like yesterday I barely filmed anything. I was like a few little time lapses of like doing stuff, but I've been really enjoying just getting dirty, getting my hands on. Like even if I wasn't filming this, I'd be doing it. Which is cool. I think that's what I'm starting to realize now. It's like I don't want to dictate me being a YouTuber to dictate like my life anymore.
Your projects. Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of similar to you. I struggle with I love creating content, putting it up online, right? But I also love working on these projects, and they're two different parts of my brain. I can't seem to do them at the same time. I can't flourish at either one at the same time. And I don't want to just go one route and then forget the other one, because it's like they're kind of married. Like the only reason I'm making content is because I want to do these things, right? But the only reason I'm doing these things is because, well, I need, I want to create content, right? So it's almost like a contradiction, and I find it really hard to go between them. And so I'm just managing as well as I can or whatever. But I kind of did it. When do you think was the shift when everybody's like, here's the thing, my experience, I want to say, like 4 years? When did I meet you? That was like 4 years ago? 5 years ago?
No, when you met me, it was way before.
Remember when you
started to like...
When you guys came... Okay, so I know about
6 years?
6 years? I know about Casey because of this guys.
Yeah.
Him and his friend. They came... I had a little company making, accessories for cameras. And then they needed some help doing something, so they came in, right? And I was like... At that point, I was doing videos, but it wasn't like... It was different. I was doing a video about my bus, going on trips, almost like what you were doing, but kind of different, right? I was kind of like, it was more like I would write a script and I would like tell a story, and it was more produced kind of thing, right? And so I was making one every 6 months. It was like, and they were like half-hour videos that I was making, and so they're like, oh, that's cool. You should look at this one guy on YouTube that is like doing like every day, and he's like. I remember clearly they told me he like people send him packages and he tears them apart. He doesn't even care, and and I thought, who is this jerk? Like he sounds like a jerk. Like what? Who would do that, right? So,
and this is when Casey He'd already started the daily vlogs.
He had just started daily.
Yeah.
And these guys picked it up because they were watching, YouTube like everyone else. I remember my brother telling me, hey, there are these YouTubers that are doing daily videos. And I thought, well, you're crazy. What do you mean? Like, it takes me 6 months to make a video. What do you mean there's people are making daily videos? Like, that's unheard of. That's insane. That's undoable, right? And then after these guys told me about this crazy person online that was doing that, it just came up in my feed.
Yeah.
Like, I was literally already gearing up. I was working on my bus. I was trying to update my battery on my bus. And I had this crazy idea, like, oh, we can salvage these batteries from laptop batteries. We can buy them, take them apart, the same ones that Tesla's using, whatever. So on my feed was battery-related stuff, because that's what I was doing. And Casey was like, oh, I'm going to review this stupid, like, hoverboard, like, little...
Oh, I remember that one, yeah.
Okay, so that's the one that I saw, and I'm like... And I thought, like, wow, this guy's amazing. Like, he's obviously doesn't know anything about this tech.
Yeah.
He's dumb when it comes to that. But his ability to like keep you hooked and keep you entertained while he's humbling around New York. I'm like, this is incredible, you know, not knowing that this is the same guy that these guys were talking. So then once I saw that and I thought, oh my God, this dude is doing daily videos. No way. Like, my brother's not crazy. Like, here's an example. So I thought, this is possible. And so I was like, I'm going to try to do this, you know.
And did you try it?
And I tried it, and I did for 90 days, I think, straight. I did a daily vlog or whatever. Then eventually I gave up. I was like, this is unsustainable. I can't do this, right? My life is not that interesting. You know, it's like
I think I did it straight for like 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, I've almost done 2,000 videos on my channel now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, you have to be.
It's like very all-consuming. Like your whole life's consumed.
Yeah.
So
You're making a movie. You're on
it's not
stage 24/7.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to find a healthy balance.
Yeah.
And even so, one of the first generation YouTubers who started the daily vlogging thing, his name's Charles Trippy. He reached 10 years, and he didn't miss a single day daily vlogging, not a single day. And he even had like brain surgery, and his friend was vlogging it. Like he literally got married and divorced. He got married, divorced, married again, like he had a kid, like all of this in a 10-year span, and didn't miss a single day.
How much would he share? Would he share everything?
Yeah, I think he was very open. And then at 10 years, he decided to start taking a break, like even just 1 day a week off kind of thing, which I commend him for, because like when are you going to stop otherwise? Like, do you know what I mean? Like 10 years is I mean, no one's going to beat that. Like he's got the Guinness World Record for the amount of consecutive daily vlogs, all that. Jeez. But I think like anyone that talks to me about daily vlogs, I'm like, just don't lose yourself in it, because you can, you know, I would multiple times like burn out, exhausted, like just, and then it affects relationships. I lost friendships because I couldn't spend time with people. Like it's kind of intense. So I like that it's not, people aren't, it's not the trend right now. Like, because I think it's healthier not to daily vlog.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple a week, maybe 3 a week.
Well,
if you want
I think there are certain people that put out daily videos, but it's a team.
Yeah.
Right? It's never. You know, I'm even like.
Because I never got help editing. I was always editing my own videos. I'd like film all day, go to bed late, and I get FOMO easily as well. So I was like, I never wanted to go and edit when my friends were having fun. So I'd stay up, everyone go to bed, then I'll be like, cool. I'm not missing out on anything. Then I'd edit until like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Straight up again the next, get like 6 hours sleep, up at 10. Boom, straight another day. And then I'd upload that in the morning from the day before. You know, it'd be like that.
Yeah. See, the reason why I failed was because I'm so awkward, socially awkward. So I don't have a lot of friends, right? I don't, outside of my immediate family, like my parents, my wife, my brothers. I don't have like a lot of interaction, so it gets kind of hard to craft a story around that, right? And so I'm like, sometimes it was like I was just gonna show up to the shop and just work. Yeah. And you're like, that's not fun. Nobody wants to know that. And so I would get really creative into like, how do I make this interesting for someone to like? What is my challenge today? And my challenge is to get enough done to make some money. It's like how can I and that is the part that I love, like the working within the constraints, right? But it's hard. I mean, it's hard because then you work all day, then you go home, then you edit all night. And there's no room for you to rest and spend time with your family, and, you know. So it gets hard. But I remember it was fun while I was doing it. Like that whole thing, trying to figure out, having like a singular vision, like this is my goal. This is the goal.
Yeah, and then it's just very simple.
Yeah.
But kind of what I'm excited about now more is like, and again, my 100% focus is not my YouTube right now, but I kind of want to get excited about it again.
Yeah.
But I think for me now, like finding topics that I'm really passionate about and then telling stories around those topics. Yeah. So like something that with a meaningful message, because a lot of my daily vlogs, it was just like me having fun, and it was consistent. It was like me having fun, doing something, but it wouldn't be like a meaningful message in every video. It was like, just sometimes it'd just be me filming my day. Hey, I'm getting coffee, I'm going skateboarding. Like it was just random.
Yeah.
But I think now, like every video, I want to have some kind of message to it.
I see. Yeah. So did you feel like the let's exist and have fun lacks enough meaning? Like,
yeah,
for some
maybe.
people,
I mean,
maybe?
I think it's good to just have that light-hearted approach to life and
Yeah.
enjoy and like have adventures. But after that many years, I was like, I kind of want to do more than this. This is fun, but I ticked everything off my bucket list. You know, I went
Yeah.
scuba diving, skydiving,
Yeah.
bungee jumping, went to so many countries. You know what I mean? Like everything that I ever wanted to do, I've done.
Yeah.
So now it's like, can I, especially with an audience now, I'm like, okay, I've got this platform, I've got this ability to talk to hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions.
Yeah.
Then it's like, could I use this platform to make a change in the world, do something super positive, like
Yeah.
have a deeper purpose to why I'm
Did you
making.
ever get criticism as like, does anybody ever see you traveling the world having fun like as a selfish thing?
Maybe a privilege thing.
Oh,
Like,
privilege
oh,
thing.
you're, not everyone can do that. Like, you've
Yeah.
got money. But the thing is, it wasn't like I'm come from money. Like, my parents aren't wealthy. Like, it's not like, people are like, oh, you're a trust fund kid who's just like, but I'm like, no, like, I'm making money whilst traveling. Like, tourism boards are paying me. Like, but I get it. It's still privilege. Like, not many people get to do
Can't
that.
do that. So some people can't even leave their country.
Yeah,
right?
so you need a passport. Then a lot of people are in poverty or at least working paycheck to paycheck where they don't get to travel. And in a way I was like, well, it's not like I'm flaunting and trying to show off. Like there's some YouTubers that show off, like they buy sports cars and they live in mansions, they're always showing off, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was my content. And some people were saying, hey, like maybe they're still at school or they're working, they can't travel, but they liked watching my videos because it felt like that I was there, they were
Yeah.
there with me, so it was like living vicariously through
Yeah.
my content.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that, but I think it's not really because other people were telling me about my content, it was feeling selfish. It was more, I wasn't feeling as satisfied with it. So I was like, I kind of like, and I don't regret any of it. It's more like I'm changing into a new season now where I want to try different things. And, that's just going to be, still in that kind of figuring out phase of like, okay, what does that look like now? If I'm not traveling, I'm not making daily videos, and then it's like, okay, what am I really passionate about?
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of time recently. I don't think I told you about this, but I've launched this thing called the Social Good Club, and a lot of my friends that I've built over the last 8 years within YouTube space, like with all the YouTubers, I've been like organizing to support other people in like how can we team up and tackle some of the big problems in the world, and how can we run campaigns together to see a shift, whether it's like environmental stuff or equality and social justice and it's all these different issues that are happening right now. And it's like I've been able to like mobilize some of my friends and think about, okay, how can I impact my audience, but how together between 10, 20, 50 of us who have big audiences, how can we have the best impact on the world? So that's kind of where I've been channeling a lot of my time and energy recently.
Okay. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah, because you do have a platform. That's the one thing that like changed for me. Like I remember at the beginning, I didn't care.
Yeah.
Right? I had nothing to lose. Like
Yeah.
nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't making money. I was broke.
Same.
But I'm like, I got
I
time.
was just crashing my friend's couch.
Yeah.
I was crashing my friend's couch. I was like, I'm going to try this YouTube thing, like,
Yeah.
see if I can make enough to, like, eat.
Yeah. So that was very freeing, where you were like, I could just make whatever video. I can try wild things and say crazy things. Like, I'm not going to offend anyone. If I do offend anyone, I don't care. Like, who cares? Like, what? You're not going to watch my video? No one's watching my videos anyways. You're like one or two people. But as the audience grows, then you start feeling a little bit of pressure. Now you're like, oh, you don't want to piss everyone off, because then, that's not a good thing, And then you don't want to be fighting with everyone all day, like, because you kind of look at the comments, even if it's not healthy for you.
Yeah. Comments can be a dark hole of...
You'll ignore hundreds of praises, right?
Yeah.
And then the one criticism, you're like, that's the one you concentrate, ruins your day. You're like, this jerk.
Have you seen, there's a Disney film called Ralph Breaks the Internet?
No.
So it's Wreck-It Ralph. There was a first film, Wreck-It Ralph, or something.
Oh, yeah.
And the second one, Wreck-It Ralph, where he goes into the internet and there's like this whole thing about YouTube. I can't remember what they call it. It's this other video platform. But he walks into this room and it's the comments section on his videos. And it's exactly that. It's like, just like hateful. He's like, suddenly, he's like super hyped because he's made a viral video. I don't want to give away the whole plot, but it talks about the comment section can be so toxic.
Yeah.
And I've had friends that have had breakdowns because they're just concentrating on the comment section too much. They're always trying to please their audience. Like, they'll get a criticism and then they'll like think about it too much and like change who they are and change how they're behaving just to please everyone. It's like you're constantly adjusting. Honestly, I love my audience, but I don't read my comments really that much anymore.
Yeah.
Like occasionally, but I don't want praise or criticism from random strangers to dictate like my self-worth.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't want criticism, but I'd rather do constructive criticism from friends if I'm making mistakes than like some random people I don't know who they are. I don't know. I just feel like it can really mess with you. And I'm glad I got into YouTube late in my life. Well, not late in my life, but like later on, compared to some of my younger friends who like got in when they were in their late teens or early 20s, where they haven't had enough time to like establish their kind of security, to suddenly they're like, this is all they know. So it's like they're having breakdowns and getting depressed because they can't like find that balance,
Yeah.
So it can get crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. YouTube is an amazing career path. It's an amazing, well, it's not even career, but like it's an amazing job. It's an amazing lifestyle. But there is a dark side to it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I just saw that movie. It was about Steve Jobs, and it was one of those that he was arguing. There's a lot of that we don't know about Steve Jobs, right? So I often, and we all used Apple. So, this is a figure that has impacted our lives. And so I always wondered, like, what kind of person he was and stuff. And there's one where, like, he's arguing with, like, his people around. And he's saying, like, look, the great artists, they never asked the world what the world wants to hear. Like, Beethoven didn't ask what kind of music they want to hear. He just wrote it, and then he just did it. So he was arguing like how he was gonna make these amazing products and create this amazing thing.
Oh, and his team was saying like, but what do the consumer want?
What do the consumer wants, right? And he was like, screw the consumer. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they want.
So
right?
interesting, yeah. Because I've done that. I've tweeted to my audience like, okay, what kind of videos do you want me to make? Like, because when you get an audience, you're like suddenly you're like pandering to them. You're like trying to figure out, okay, like this video didn't go well, so I need to make something different.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking like, what do I enjoy making?
Yeah, and I remember early on, I was like, I had that attitude. I was like, screw this is me. Like, this is my life. I'm doing this because I like it. You're either part of it, by lurking, or you don't. I don't care, But you do feel the pressure after you have several 100,000 people that are watching your videos and they're commenting stuff. You're just like, I don't want to say. I noticed that I've toned down in the controversial aspects of like what I used to make videos about anything. I had an idea. I made a video about being arrested once, and going to jail for like a night and stuff, and then how, because I spent quite a bit of time in the U.S., almost like 20 years illegally here. Yeah. So I'm an illegal alien. I'm that person that people don't like. The person that like, hey, do it legal, But most people don't know that for people like me, there is no legal way to come to the United States, right? So I would make videos about that. I would be like, look, this is the reality, This is how I've lived. This is like, I'm the person that you say like shouldn't exist here, And it would get, obviously like anything controversial, it would get people saying like, yeah, go for it, tell it how it is. But then there's a lot of people that are like, you don't belong here. Go back to your country. The whole thing, the whole spectrum. And I know that these days, I don't put that on YouTube anymore. I do quite a bit of that, like on Facebook, because I feel like on Facebook nobody is watching me there. There's like I have a tiny amount of audience there, and I'm like, I don't care. It's like that's my personal Facebook. I can say whatever I want there, or whatever. But on my YouTube channel, I kind of just go down the middle, you know, and I'm like, then I'm also getting older. Like, also, like, I think, I mean, you would understand this. You have way more perspective than me. Like, I just like to try to see how the rest of the world would see life, right? But I mean, you've experienced quite a bit of that, and I haven't. You know, I just know this is my reality, but I kind of know it. I think most people don't know. Do you feel like that's the same thing? Like the one thing that most people lack is perspective?
Yeah, I think, well, there's different questions there, but yeah, I think like traveling the world's given me a bunch of perspective, but also for both of us, like life experience, especially if I look to be people even 5-10 years, like 5 years younger or 10 years younger, I'm like, there's a certain level of life experience where
How old are you?
37.
Okay, yeah. So you're a little bit younger than me, not too much. Yeah.
Am I 37? Yeah, 37. I just turned 37 in April. So like I feel like having the life experience just helps you. I think it helps you cope better, but also maybe mellows you out. Maybe for me anyway. I'm not saying everyone's like this, but I feel like through trial and error and experience in life, you just figure out, okay, where do I want to expend effort and energy, and where do I just want to be like, you know, I've done that, I'm done. You know, I don't need to be controversial. I don't need to be extreme and do all these things. Yeah. Like what I didn't tell you before I was traveling on YouTube, the reason I originally blew up is like I was doing really extreme videos, eating crazy things. Do you know this?
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
So before FunForLouis,
okay,
I had a channel called Food for Louis.
Oh really?
And this is before I went vegan. And I was eating the craziest things, and people would challenge me. It was like sensational, like crazy videos, right? I would never do it now, even if I wasn't vegan. It's crazy. I was eating like live tarantulas. I like blended mice and drank a mouse shake.
Oh no!
It was the craziest stuff. It was like for views. It was like,
wow.
But that's part of me in my mid-20s where I was just a bit crazier, and I was like, I don't need to do that. Like, I mean, it helps me get where I am now. I don't regret it. It was kind of
unique at the time. Was it unique?
Yeah, like no one was doing it. It was like right at the beginning of YouTube, and I didn't know where it was going to lead either. But I do remember like a year into it, I was like, do I want to be doing this? Is this who I am? Like, am I this weirdo freak that's just eating crazy things now? And like, it, you know. And then I rebranded myself. I was like, okay, I'm going to stop all this. But
I see. And that give you like a level of success that you were able to.
So that on the other channel before I even started FunForLouis, I got like 400,000 subscribers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was getting millions of views on those videos.
Okay.
Like every video I uploaded would get like 1 million views. But it was all sensational, and the comments were like horrific. Like they were like, because it was very controversial what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it was like,
it was borderline cruel. Sometimes.
Yeah, man, that's what the criticism was. Like, anyway, that's all in my past. In the same way you're talking about arresting and that was like, I'm not ashamed of it, but it was just like, it was part of my past. Like it was like that was part of it. But again, going back to your point. Now that we're a little older, we've had more life experience, I feel like we make wiser choices. We choose to do maybe like choose a easier, simpler path.
Yeah,
because you've kind of tested your boundaries of like, hey, what do I want to be doing? What do I?
Yeah. Did you ever feel like that with some of these other YouTubers? Like, there's some other ones that come to mind. Like, what's that one guy that had a nervous breakdown that like he was bald and he tattooed his thing over here. And then he had like some concert here in LA, and then like they got shut down.
Oh, FouseyTube.
FouseyTube, yeah.
Did
you ever like look at him and be like, oh my god, this guy's trouble? Like he knows how to make content, how to be controversial.
I don't know him personally. I think I've met him a couple of times, but we've never really talked. Mm-hmm. I see just that YouTube and having being famous for him has not been healthy.
Yeah, right.
Like, because there's like when you lose like an ability to kind of separate yourself from an online persona, and you're chasing success and money and fame, especially when you get really good, when you get really successful, you're making crazy money. Like some of my friends with the biggest channels, like 10 million subs, they're making crazy money.
Yeah.
So it's like you're making crazy money. It's like all your dreams that, you know, being a millionaire, all that. And then it's like you're famous. Like people adore you, like worshipped. So it's like all these really unhealthy things that can sneak in.
Yes.
And then like if you're mentally unstable as well,
yeah,
or depressed, or I think he's like manic,
I think so, yeah,
manic depressive or like bipolar or something. So it's like, and then you're feeding yourself with all of this, you know, comments and other people. You know, there's the whole dark side of YouTube, which is like the commentary channels where everyone like talks about each other and like it's all drama. And like, to be honest, I do watch some of that. I do watch some of the drama because I kind of want to know what's going on, but it's not healthy, man. It's like. So I look at people like him and others that I've seen have breakdowns, and I feel bad. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. You're just like, oh my God, I'm glad I'm not, I don't
He
take
needs to
myself
get
so
out.
serious.
He needs to get out. He did try. I think he tried to leave YouTube, and then he came back. And it's just like,
I think so, right?
Yeah.
I
read today, do you know Jenna Marbles? She was one of the original.
Yeah. Huh?
So she announced today she was going to quit YouTube.
No way.
Yeah.
She's one of the first ones.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that was a headline. I don't know if she's quitting forever, but like, it's, you know, it takes its toll. Like, it's
such a weird because I almost felt like she had figured out, like, she was making some super interesting content. She was crazy.
She's always was really hilarious.
But then she shifted to like podcasting, and I thought, okay, that's healthy. You're just talking about sharing ideas, whatever. But I guess you could also kind of get in trouble there. You could also just overshare. You could also, I guess there's some.
I think the thing that's changed as well over even the last 5 years I've seen is like this cancel culture where like people dig up your past. Yeah. They try and find anything you did wrong or said wrong, and then they like want to cancel you. You're like. Yeah. And I don't think, I mean, it's cool. I think it's good to be able to hold people accountable for mistakes they've made. Yeah. But it's all should be in the perspective that we can all grow and we can all improve and we can all like redeem stuff we've done. Yeah.
To some people it's like once you made a mistake, that's it, you're marked for life. And
I know, someone digs up a tweet I said 10 years ago and it was like something I don't even agree with now. Like, it's like people digging up my animal eating videos now and then even though they don't know I've gone vegan. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of weird. It's like,
does that happen?
I've had people think that I still do that and they just haven't even bothered to research. Like,
oh, I see. Wow.
Anyway, it's just interesting, but I think I've seen so many people get cancelled and I'm like, you know, what's the purpose? Yeah. Surely the only point of criticising someone is for them to learn from their mistakes and improve. The same as humanity, like everything whenever someone's doing something that we think's wrong, what's the purpose? The thing that the outcome we'd love to see is like, oh, they make better choices and then the world's better. Yeah. Rather than just spewing hate at that person, like, what do you want to do? Them to leave and like quit and disappear or kill themselves? Like, what's your purpose? Like, it doesn't. Yeah. If you want to help them. So anyway, I don't know. I'm kind of opinionated on that.
Well, that's the difference. The difference is that one of them helps the other person and the other one helps themselves. And so the motivation is different.
Yeah. And there's a thing now that is happening, right? Like, it's getting worse, I think. Yeah, who knows where it's going to go, but...
Which makes sense to why you're saying, like, I don't want to say anything controversial on my channel. You don't want to get political. Yeah. You don't want to get, like... You don't want to say something that someone's going to get upset. Yeah. You know... Yeah. My friend even made a video the other day about the Black Lives Matter movement, and he was getting a hate on that because people were like, all lives matter. I'm like, come on, like, this is... Yeah. You have to make a stand somewhere and talk about... what's important, but then, and sometimes maybe you will face backlash, you know?
Yeah, it's such a weird thing because I am not politically active, right? I don't belong to any of the clans. So it's weird that I can look at stuff a bit more objectively than the average person. Because everyone here in America that either sides left or right, then they have to take the entire thing. Yeah. Which I think most people don't know that they don't have to. You can agree on subjects, you can look at things on an objective matter, but I think Americans are not doing that right now, which is a weird thing.
When it's interesting for me because I'm living here, but I'm British.
You're British.
So it's hard for me, I can't vote.
Yeah. Right.
And then if I make an opinion, people are like, shut up, you're British. I'm like, yeah. I mean, partly I'm like, yeah, I get a fine, cool, yeah, I get it. Like, I'm not
Here's
American.
the thing though, do you pay taxes? in America?
I'm figuring that out. Yeah, I'm figuring that out. Right
I'm
now.
like, I'm not American, right? I'm not a citizen, but I'm like, I just dropped the $36,000 tax bill. So I'm like, I think I get to say so. Like, you know, I'm paying for those cops, you know. So if they do something that I don't like, I think I have the right to speak up. I'm paying for that, you know.
Yeah.
Or whatever else, you know what I mean? But people obviously they're like, shut up, you know. Or they can agree with me, you know. It depends. I think it's so polarizing right now. So it's like, geez. But that's a reality where we're at. So let's talk a little bit about the future. Where are we going to see the full conversion of this vehicle that you're doing? And
I'm going to do a multi-part series on FunForLouis.
Okay, so on your YouTube channel?
Yeah. And then maybe we'll do a final video, like just showing the van, like the bus off, like driving around, like get some cool shots, like make it cinematic, like do some kind of fun road trip. Nearby.
Yeah, obviously those are going to be the
drone shots.
Yeah, the whole using it.
I think your videos have done really well. I'm not making this so the videos will do well. I want to make it anyway, but I feel like people will be fascinated by this. Like I posted because I've got an Instagram account for the bus as well. So yeah.
Wonderbug is that?
Yeah, the Wonderbug. I probably will change the name. So I'm going to ask my audience, like, I want something like with electric in the title or something.
That's right, because now it's changing.
Or spark, or I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Yeah. But I posted a few photos of me getting it ready and told people, hey, I'm converting it. It's the first time I told people, and everyone was like, make a video series. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the video series. I'm like, yeah, it's sick. Like,
so I made like a little documentary thing, right? Like a little episode. It's like a pilot that it was for for Discovery, and they didn't pick it up. But I posted up on my YouTube, and it's about 850,000 views right now. So it's probably gonna get about 1 million at the end, you know, within like 12 months or something. And I have several others that have reached 1 million. The DIY power one.
It's because these are super unique things you're doing. So there's not a lot of other people making that content. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like when you're making content which it's flooded and everyone's making the same content, that's where I found my views were dropping when I was making travel and daily vlogs.
Yeah.
When it's unique stuff like this, there's not a lot else out there.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting to people because it's cutting edge, it's innovative, it's pioneering, it's like this kind of like.
And then I love the fact that I'm a nobody. Like really, I'm a nobody, right? I don't even belong in this country, right? If you really get technical to it, right? Like, I don't belong. I'm a high school job. I never went to high school. I think I spent like 6 years total in school, right? So I'm as unqualified to do any of the things that I'm doing.
That's what's good about YouTube, though, and other platforms online is like it creates this level playing field for anybody to succeed because if you put in the work and you're creative. You don't need qualifications. I've never used any of my schooling qualifications to do anything. Like I've never even shown anyone my qualifications.
That's crazy.
Because I've always just worked for myself doing different things. Like I've never, maybe once I got a job.
I feel like that's the value that we have to offer, right? Our audiences. It's like we have our experience. We're doing these things. Like me, I'm a little bit like I'm not asking permission, right? Like maybe I'm asking forgiveness at the end of it, but for the most part, I'm just doing things, with it.
But this is what I love. It's like a lot of people are looking for, they're in their lane. They're kind of like doing what society's telling them to do. And then they look online and find on YouTube maybe like me, I don't have a house, I'm just traveling the world. Or you're like, hey, I'm going to question everything and like test these, like hack things and like try and live differently and do something different. And we do completely different things. But like, I think something we do similar is like we innovate and we step outside of the box that society tells you. Like, this is the box you stay in. You're like, hey, I'm going to like put batteries and a motor in my VW bus and,
make it better.
No one was doing that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, in our own ways, I feel like we have a similar approach to life.
I think we're bottom line, I think we're what's the thing when people get inspiring people to just think different, to do something different, to get out of.
It's not even to do what we're doing. It could be just challenge.
It's a state of mind.
Anything you want. It's a state of mind. It's a way of thinking about life.
It's like how to do something that you were passionate about. Just do it. Go do it. Like look at me. I'm nobody. I don't know what I'm doing.
Start somewhere. Take the first step. Like
be given permission. permission.
Yeah, don't
And-
ask permission.
And it's like, make mistakes. That's part of it. I talk a lot of people like, they're scared of making mistakes. I'm like, that's how you learn. Like,
Yeah.
I like making mistakes that I love, as long as they're not like really bad mistakes. But like, you kind of learn from it. It's like trial and error, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and mistakes are only scary, when you don't learn anything, but
Yeah.
you always learn something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, learning the mistakes.
Failure as well. Like failure, there's a lot of cool quotes. I can't think of one right now, but there's a lot of cool quotes about like how, if you're not failing, you're not
Yeah.
doing enough, you're not trying hard enough. And the amount of big successful entrepreneurs that talk about failure being so important in their journey.
Yeah, that's when you learn. Yeah, because when everything works out, you're just like, whatever. You don't even remember
Yeah.
that much. But the failures are when they
I'm
sting.
trying really hard to be quiet because I have a podcast that talks about exactly this.
Ah, there you go.
I'm not going to plug it because I'm like zipping it right now.
There you go. But hopefully we're going to show everything, including the failures, in your upcoming series.
Yeah,
about-
and then what I want to do once the van's ready and done and I'm driving it around, I'd love to do a podcast in the van.
in the van.
A little bit like the James Corden, like carpool karaoke vibe.
Yeah.
But I was thinking it'd be cool, it'd have that extra cool thing because it's electric and I'll be able to pick up friends and they'll be like, show them the electric,
Be like,
showing
"What
that
the
it's...
hell is
Yeah,
this?"
exactly, yeah. It's kind of got that novelty,
Yeah,
value.
you're going to become a car guy like me. I wasn't a car guy before I started doing this. Now
Yeah.
I'm like, right? And then you're like, well, but who's interested in cars? There's not a thing that can happen. And then you watch like that Cars with Coffee.
Oh yeah,
Getting
yeah,
coffee,
yeah.
Cars Comedians.
Comedians in cars getting coffee.
There's
Yeah.
a few formats where people do the podcast in the car, but I like it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
And you're like, wow, this is a cool thing. Yes, I like old cars. Yeah, check. I like funny people. Yeah, check. Interesting subjects. Yes. Right? So there's so much room to do stuff, and you're enjoying working on cars like everyone else. Everyone else, it's like no one that starts in an electric car is a car guy. It's usually like you're some other thing.
Yeah.
And then you work on it and you're like, oh my God, it's so amazing. It's so satisfying to work with your hands and build something that you're going to be driving. Everyone has the same experience. It's not unique to you.
There's an old boy mechanic in Venice who was helping me with every time my engine blew up and all that for the couple of years. Like I'd always bring it and he'd be like roll his eyes like what's happened now. But I haven't told him I'm doing this, so I want to pull up and then pop the trunk, engine compartment, and just say, "Look in there."
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, he just probably doesn't even know it's a thing.
You should tell them, like, I think my carburetors are misfiring. Can you check my carburetors?
Just open it. Where's your engine?
What in the world?
It's literally like tiny little motor in there.
Yeah, and then depends how you do it.
Surprising my mechanic.
But you have to put something in there that's hilarious. Something,
Yeah.
some old pair of shoes or something that's
Yeah.
something that you won't expect to be in there.
Well, I think it's going to be a fun
Is that rolling?
Is it
series. Yeah, it's rolling. I didn't even stop recording.
Nice.
I think it's going to be a really fun series. I think it's going to get a lot of views, and I think it's going to inspire a lot of people. This is
And
the
then
next
we'll
thing.
build I'll help you build. We'll build the fleet,
The fleet, yes.
and then we can do a meet up with all the whole fleet or something.
Yeah,
Do like an
imagine
event
that.
or something.
Yeah. So here's the crazy thing: your audience is primarily travel audience, right? Fans of traveling, and
Yeah,
so the thing
everyone.
that I want to do is take a fleet of these buses to a destination, a traveling
Yeah.
destination like Hawaii. You spent some time in Hawaii
Yeah,
because you were there on an airplane.
yeah.
What do you think of those islands?
Yeah, I love Hawaii.
Did you go to Maui or did you make it to Maui?
I've done Maui. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, Maui is one of those ones that I have in mind to put a fleet of these so that you can drive around the
That'd be so good.
Rotorhana.
People would love it.
I think so.
Because
I would love it.
also, like we were saying before, it's like this eco aspect of travel. Like you can drive around. You've got that like nostalgic, vintage, beautiful. Like everyone's taking photos for Instagram.
Yes.
So the van's like beautiful for that, and no carbon footprint.
No carbon
So good.
in a pristine eco environment like one of the islands, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to pollute there. Like, I mean, you're already polluting by flying in there, but at least don't pollute while you're driving around. Like, I think it checks all the marks for all the stuff that I want to do.
Well, we'll carry on chatting about how we can team up on the fleet and doing stuff together.
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
so
the future,
down.
but
I'm so down.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. You think you're gonna be uploading as you're going, or you think at the very
I think
end?
I'd rather wait till we've done it, because what could happen is something we have to end up waiting a month for some. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather not start a series and then stop it and be like, oh,
Yeah.
we have to wait. And then I kind of want to get it all done and then upload them.
Yeah. And
I might be teasing some stuff on my Instagram stories or something.
Yeah, and I mean, you're fully dedicated to this. You're going in. You're coming in here and working 10 hours straight. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, we're kind of coming off of this pandemic mode. Shipping is still a big mess. So there's a lot of delays.
And like, if we had a problem, I don't know if what could be a problem, but there could be a major problem, and then it delays us another month.
Yeah,
or something,
we don't know.
Who knows?
I mean, this is a thing that it just took 6 months just to get started, right? And it was mostly we were waiting for parts, right?
I feel like I must have. When did I first message you? More than 6 months
More
ago.
than 6 months
Well,
ago,
like, probably
yeah.
like 8, 9 months.
And I remember what I told you. I'm like, that's quick. It's a 2-week thing that you can get done, right? But just to get the parts, or
yeah.
just to get the thing, right? Like,
we were originally going to put the Tesla engine in it, and then we were waiting around, like, oh, can we get there's like the engine mount? It's like no one's done it before, all that stuff. But it's just like,
it's just there's too many variables, and we're having to wait on too many people. So yeah, we just decided
the next one we'll do it sometime. I'll help you do it.
I'm in the same boat. I want to do that to my bus, but it's the same thing. I'm like waiting on them. So I'm like, this is like whatever I can get my hands on. Like, I know that I can do it in whatever time frame, right?
Yeah.
And even in that, I'm off because I think like I can do it in a week, and 2 weeks later, so I'm like still at it. But whenever there's somebody else, forget it. Which I feel like that's the thing with the fast charging. So that might be a thing that might not be done by the time you get it. But at the very least, you'll have
that can be added in though.
That can be added later, and you have a 200-mile plus vehicle that you can drive around and charge in 6 hours or something like that.
But that's something in common you guys have with Elon. Right? You can't hit the time frames.
You can't hit the time frames. Yeah, that's right. Even if Elon, with that big brain of his, can't figure out. Yeah, those are just the restraints. But I think it's gonna be fun. And stay tuned. Subscribe to FunForLouis. You're gonna have a bunch. Well, hopefully in the next month or so.
Yeah,
I don't know.
next month or two.
I don't know how long this is gonna take, but we'll see.
I think it will be done in a month, right?
Let's hope so.
At this rate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's stay positive. Okay, Louis. Well, thank you for joining me in my
Thanks
podcast.
for having me, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be spending a few time together here, and you'll probably see him in my stories and in some of my videos. I haven't made a video about you being here, but probably I'll mention
We've
it
got
in one of
time.
my other
We've got
videos.
time.
Yeah, for my audience so they can see it, and they'll definitely see it here. So, all right, we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.